Hey guys, how's it going? I am Danconia and welcome to the Overwatch World Cup Roundup. Yes, we are back and the next 3 weekends are going to be jam-packed full of pro-level Overwatch. The Overwatch World Cup is back after about a week's break after the Incheon qualifiers. We now know that South Korea and Finland will be going to BlizzCon, but we now need to decide the other 6 teams that will be going there as well, to make up the 8. Obviously we had the All-Stars weekend for the Overwatch League last week, so that kind of put this on hold, but now coming up this weekend we have the United States qualifiers based in Los Angeles at the Blizzard Arena. Whether or not the Blizzard Arena will look like it does for the Overwatch League, or they might have kitted it out with the Overwatch World Cup sort of stage, we don't know, but what I do know is the team rosters. So let's get on to that, shall we? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you the lowest ranked team roster, and we're going to work up to the highest ranked team roster. So, which in this case probably would be the host country, the USA in other words. We're going to start off with Brazil. Brazil has a roster of, and I'm sorry if I get these names wrong, Oli on a support, Dudu on offense, Lyco on offense, Neil on tank, Honorato on flex, Weta on flex, and Alamal on support. Again, if those names are wrong, I do apologise. As you can see, only 7 players though, and obviously all of them will be going to these qualifiers. So not a particularly big roster. They are all associated with a team. Apart from two of them, they are all associated with Brazil Gaming House. Weta and Oli, however, are associated with Black Dragons Esports, both from the Pacific, I believe, section of contenders. I'm not starting this video off very well, am I? That is Brazil. They are ranked 20, by the way. Ranked 19 is Switzerland, who are also in this group of qualifiers. They are made up of Scorpion on support, Remix on support, not to be confused with iRemix, it's not iRemix, Lux on offense, Shinoda on offense, Helv on tank, Kiba on tank, Dijin on offense, Aisley on offense, Mimi7 on tank, Flo on support, Niv on support, and Gintoki, who I don't have a role for, which is a bit odd. Of them, going to these qualifiers will be Lux, Shinoda, Kiba or Kibi or Kiba, I'm not sure, Helv, Mimi7, Remix, and Scorpion. They will be taking part in this. Mimi7, Remix, Scorpion, and Lux are all part of Silent Gaming. Kiba is associated to Luzane Esports, and Shinoda is part of the SPG Esports teams. So, I'm sorry if I got those names wrong. Working our way up here, our next ranked team, who are ranked 14, are Austria. Austria, they could cause an upset here, but I doubt it, considering 2 other teams in the group. They are made up of Eclipse on support, Minimi, oh god, you have to make it a difficult name for me to say, on support, Flaushy on support, again I'm sorry if I've got that wrong, Null on flex, Hero Ray on offense, Mr. Dragon LOL on offense, I love the name, Bomby Tank on tank, What7 on tank, Sensotics on tank, Fury on offense, it's not the Fury you're thinking, STV on, or Steven on offense, and Itzeru on support. Of course, they won't all be going to the qualifiers because you can only take 7. So, Mr. Dragonlol will be going. He is also part of We Have Org in the European contenders. Steven, Hero Ray make up the DPS. What's 7? Sensotics. Sensotics is part of Driving Under the Influence as a team. He's not driving under the influence. God, these team names can cause some problems, you know. Eclipse will be a support, and Minimi, who is also part of Driving Under the Influence, will also be a support for Austria. Now we're moving to our 3rd highest ranked team in the qualifiers for the United States. This is Norway. Norway, I honestly think, could cause a surprise, but the 2 top teams, I really don't see anyone challenging them. So, for Norway we have Goodest, who I don't know his role. Oh, this name. Yquids? Or Yiquids? On offense. Thank you for the real difficult name. Crow 11 on tank, Milk on support, Envision on offense, Frost on offense, Tricky on tank, Decod on tank, Onigod, who I've heard of, on offense, Track on offense, Eco on offense, and IPN on the flex role. Onigod, I can't remember which contenders team he plays for. Let's have a look. Hold on. Ah, yes, now I know Onigod. Track plays for Young and Beautiful. He will be going to these qualifiers in Los Angeles with Onigod, who plays for Angry Titans, Frost, who plays for 1 point, Tricky, Decod plays for Last Night's Leftovers, Eco, IPN, also plays for Angry Titans. That is the 7 that will be going to these qualifiers for Norway. Quite a few contenders players in there, so a decent team. But now we're running into the 2 big boys in this group of qualifiers. Rank 4 overall in the world is Canada. Canada. You'll recognize some of these names. Joe Meister on support, Banny on support, Sure4 on offense, Agilities on offense, Chain, Crimzos on support, Kala on tank, Note on tank, Magnitude on flex, Rolf on support, Kevin, and the return of XQC, obviously on tank, on stage once more, after his slightly difficult time at Dallas Fuel. Okay, so as we know, Sure4 plays for the LA Gladiators, Agilities plays for the LA Valiant, Magnitude plays for Excelsior's Academy Team XL2 and Contenders, Note plays for Boston Uprising, XQC is obviously unassigned, Banny plays for Houston Outlaws, Crimzo plays for Envious, which is the Contenders team of the Dallas Fuel, and of course their coach is Jane, who is now of the Dallas Fuel. Canada, very strong team, they were your runners-up last year to the South Koreans. Can Canada go all the way again? I reckon they could do it. They're a very decent team. I would expect them to get through these qualifiers without too much hassle. Again, it can be debatable, but I think whatever you say, and I know the big contentious issue is XQC. XQC is a fantastic tank. He deserves to be at the World Cup. I can't wait to see him on the stage again. But they're not the biggest team, perhaps. I mean, it's debatable. They could be the biggest team. It's between them and, obviously, because it's in Los Angeles, the United States of America. Right. Raucous on support. Sleepy on support. Dante on offense. Super on flex. Muma on tank. Sinatra on offense. Moth on support. Zachary on flex. Elk on support. McGravy on flex. Space on flex. And Hydration on offense. Now, this is an interesting one. Going to Los Angeles will be Hydration, Sinatra, and Zachary. Zachary plays for the Fusion University, Philadelphia's Fusion's Academy Contenders team. Sinatra, obviously, part of the San Francisco Shock. Hydration, part of the Los Angeles Gladiators. Space, part of the Los Angeles Valiant. Muma and Raucous, obviously from the Houston Outlaws. Moss from the San Francisco Shock. And they're yet again another Dallas Fuel coach in Aero. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Because of Hydration. Now, Hydration has dual nationality. He is Brazilian, but can also play for the United States. He has chosen, I would presume, to play for the United States. So that's a bit of a contentious issue. I'm sure he's going to have some sort of reception from the Brazilian fans, but, you know, he's going to play for the team he wants to play for. He wants to play for the US. The US have actually picked him in the squad. If he didn't think he was going to get in the squad, I'm sure he probably would have played for Brazil, which is contentious. But there are your 6 teams for the Los Angeles qualifiers. Again, you can see what I mean, right? There are 2 teams that look like they could run away with these qualifiers in Canada and the US, but there could be a surprise. Norway are the closest team rank-wise to Canada and the US. But honestly, let's solely on Canada and the US, they're very close. Very, very close. On paper, they are very close. US probably have the edge. They have more league players, but that doesn't always mean everything. And we must highlight that. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that automatically the Overwatch League, that the team with the most Overwatch League players is going to be the best. Doesn't mean anything. Some of these players in these qualifiers, I don't know them. None of us might know them. So they might be a complete surprise to us, and next year you're looking at them in the Overwatch League playing for Atlanta or something. So there could be some real surprises here. But who would I pick to win it is the question. Honestly, and this is I know you were runners up last year, and I know there are a lot of good players on these teams. I would give it to the US, simply because I think they have a bit more quality in them. And XQC, as much as he's a fantastic player, I love watching his streams, I love watching him play, I think he's a fantastic tank. I learned a lot of my Reinhardt from watching XQC. What that says is my Reinhardt, I don't know, but he is a fantastic, fantastic player. He is unassigned. So he's not been playing week in, week out at the top high-level pro esports game, if you see what I mean. Not knocking XQC. I'm not knocking XQC here. Don't jump off the bandwagon. I love XQC as a player. But he is not perhaps as... He's been working in scrims, right? And I know this because I've been watching his streams. But he's perhaps not as prepared for this as Mimra is. Ooh, that's a contentious thing to say. And anyway, they have Magnitude from XL2, and they have Crimzo from Envious. On paper, they have a slightly worse roster than the United States. But I think they win the DPS battle with the US. But I think the US win the support battle, and I think the tank battle could be pretty close. So honestly, this is a hard one to call. A really hard one to call which one of these is gonna pull through to win the actual overall qualifiers and who will come second. But I think they have got to be first and second. If one of these teams gets knocked out at this qualifier, that is a massive, massive shock. Could be one of the biggest shocks in Overwatch history, if not the biggest shock. Massive. It would be massive if one of these teams was to go out, because they are both teams that should be reaching BlizzCon, without a doubt. So, moving on from that, obviously, I have some fixtures, and there's a lot of them. So what I'm going to do is I don't actually have the match-by-match times for BST or CEST, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little disclaimer right now. These games run from 10 AM PDT in America till 5 PM PDT. The 5 PM will be the last game of the day. These times correspond to 6 PM start time, British summertime, BST, and about a 2 AM end time in the UK BST. That's about 7 PM start in Europe and a 3 AM finish in Europe. 3 AM to 4 AM or 2 AM to 3 AM finish. So this is actually really good for Europe and the UK, because you have a whole night's full of Overwatch if you want to watch it. Big thumbs up. Love it. Love it. It's better than last time when I couldn't actually watch any of the flipping games because they were on during 4 o'clock in the morning or something. Anyway, moving on. The first ones of these will kick off on the 7th of September, which is a Friday. The first game, which is, as I said, at 5 PM in the UK, 6 PM in the UK, 7 PM in Europe, 10 AM PDT in America. I can't convert American time zones, so I don't know what it is on Eastern or whatever. But it will be Austria taking on Canada. I expect Canada to win this one. Then, straight after that, we have Norway taking on Switzerland. Again, don't know who's going to win that, but I would expect Norway to win it. Then we have Canada taking on Brazil. Again, I would expect Canada to win that. Brazil are the lowest ranked team in these qualifiers. Then we have Austria taking on USA. Again, this should be a USA win, although Austria could take a map or something. And then we have Norway versus Brazil, which I would expect Norway to win. That is the first day. The second day, again, going with the same timing, starting at 10 AM PDT, which is 6 PM British time, 7 PM European time, Central European time. We have Switzerland taking on Austria. This could be a really close match, in all fairness. But I think Austria could pip it. Then we have the highest ranked team versus the lowest ranked team, which is i.e. Brazil taking on the USA. I would expect USA to win this one. Then we have Norway taking on Canada. Again, I would expect a Canada win. Then straight after that, you have the USA taking on Switzerland. I would expect a USA win. And then Brazil taking on Austria. It could be tight, but I think Austria should edge it. That is the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, the last day, I believe it is a Sunday. I hope it's a Sunday, otherwise I'm giving you misinformation. I'm just going to check this a minute. Yes, 9th is a Sunday. Again, with the same timings, starting at 6 PM or 7 PM or 10 AM, wherever you are. Norway will take on Austria. That's an incredibly close match, very hard to call. I really don't know, but I'm going to say Norway. Whatever. I'm going to say Norway. Then we have Canada taking on Switzerland. Canada should win that one, I would have thought. USA taking on Norway. That is... I said Norway are the team that if anyone was going to cause an upset, it would have to be Norway, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think it'll be a US win there. Then we have Switzerland taking on Brazil, which could go either way. They're the two lowest ranked teams. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But looking at Brazil's roster, Switzerland, whatever. I really don't know about that game, in all honesty. It's a bit crazy. And then we have the blockbuster game, which is the last game of the whole qualifier. This is, obviously, the USA taking on Canada. Big grudge match between two big teams. So, yeah, we had this whole discussion, which I thought was better earlier. It really could go either way. Honestly, sorry to you American fans, but I'd like to see Canada win it. But I think America will win it. It will be a 5-mapper. I'd be surprised if it wasn't a 5-mapper, to be quite honest with you. But by this time, I would have thought both teams will already be qualified for BlizzCon. So it's not a match that will be crucial to you qualifying, but it might be crucial to your seeding and who you might face at BlizzCon. So it's still a fairly big match, but it's definitely going to be the tastiest match, if you see what I mean, of the weekend. Because, man, there are some good players on that stage between those two. Very good players. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. We will really see how this goes, because it's a big teller. Because the only other games that I could see Canada or the USA perhaps slipping up on is when they play Norway. Which Canada play Norway on the second day and USA play Norway before they play Canada. So technically USA have the two hardest teams they're going to face on the last day. But to be quite honest, I don't think that's going to faze them. Because I think they'll beat Norway. The only team I could see the USA losing to, realistically, would be Canada. Vice versa, the only team I could see Canada realistically losing to is the USA. So, yeah. And by the time that game comes around, they'll probably both be qualified, and it's pointless me even having this debate. I'll go for the USA to beat Canada, but I just want to see a good match. I want to see a good Overwatch. That's what I want to see, and I think the USA versus Canada will produce some really good Overwatch. And that's all you can ask for at this stage, because normally, as we saw in Incheon, a lot of them can go 4-0. A lot of them can go 4-0, because there's not bad teams, they're all good players, they're all worthy of being in their national team, but some national teams are just not as good as other national teams, obviously, and they kind of get steamed, to put it lightly. Anyway, that is the American qualifiers, or the Los Angeles qualifiers I should say. They will take place this coming weekend. The weekend after is the qualifiers in Thailand. That one is a lot harder to call. A lot harder to call. You got China, Australia, Sweden, Thailand, Spain and Denmark. That is a lot harder to call. And I will be a bit less clued up on that side of the draw. And then you have the qualifiers. The week after that, you have the qualifiers in France, which is basically European qualifiers, where you will see the United Kingdom, Poland, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, and France battle it out for 2 places at BlizzCon, which is the next 2 qualifiers after the Los Angeles qualifiers are a little less black and white. But that's it. So we have 3 weeks of basically weekly competitive Overwatch like we had in the Overwatch League. Then obviously after that we have a month's break until BlizzCon. Then BlizzCon has the finals of the Overwatch World Cup. Next season of Overwatch League is going to be interesting as well, but I need to do a video on that because there's some news anyway. For now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then!